Welcome to Ear Training Lesson 6. In this ear training class, we're going to work on developing our listening skills for the suspended and add chord types. These are going to be the suspended chords of suspended second and suspended fourth, along with the add chords of major add 2 and minor add 2, along also with major add 4 and minor add 4. We're going to discuss how each chord's intervals operate around the combining of tones that establish these chords of the suspended and add types. Plus, we're going to be going through some other stuff in the class that focuses on relying upon singing and recognizing and associating the listening skills that you need for the connection you need to build with how these intervals sound and how the chords come together to build each of the types. So let's get started here in part 1 of Ear Training Lesson 6 with our study of how to hear the sound of the suspended second chord and arpeggio. In example 1, we're going to be running through matching pitch with the suspended second chord. Now, if you're not too familiar with what a suspended chord is overall, it's a chord where you do not have quality. So, for example, in the very first layout, we've got an A and a B tone, and then an E tone. So to do the layout there, you'll have to have this E on the 4th string, 2nd fret, B on 5th string, 2nd fret, and then down low we're going to be grabbing our A there at the 5th fret of 6th string. Now in that setup, this chord has a root, it has a 2nd degree, and it also has a perfect 5th, just like you'd have in a power chord. But what's happening here is we're missing the 3rd. So you know probably from some of the studies you've done so far that if you have a major 3rd, in this case that would be a C sharp, the chord would be major, and if that 3rd dropped down from major 3rd to minor 3rd, all of a sudden the chord would become minor. And that's how we get our major and our minor chords. Without the 3rd present, the suspended chord can be brought along into the mix, and now we have a chord that is kind of begging for resolution. You know, it's neither major nor minor, so it wants to go somewhere. 9 times out of 10 when you have a suspended chord, what happens is it wants to go over to a major or a minor. So that was a major I was just using in there. And there's a minor example going from the suspended second into the minor chord. So these are the things that we're listening for from the perspective of how do we start judging these sounds and what are some of the, standard common things that happen out there that we want to pay attention to. Well, if I move that chord over to a D root and I set up the sound of a D suspended second chord, you can hear that resolution to major. Here's a resolution to minor. You can tell that the color that we have as they move back and forth, the suspended is tension. It wants to get away from that lack of color, and then we can bring in either a major or a minor 3rd to really solidify where that chord is headed to next in the composition that we're using. In the examples, I also have a G chord in use there where it's a G suspended second. It's pretty low though, and the thing is sometimes on the suspendeds they sound a little bit better when you bring them up higher. Here's a suspended chord done up an octave higher. You can tell it's the same setup, G, A, D, and then I've just gone up an octave with that G, A, D again, but up an octave. I'll bring in a major chord so you can hear the sound of the resolve coming off that suspended second. It's a very nice sound. I just went from a G chord to a C major chord there, but you can tell it's a very interesting effect messing around with these sounds of suspended. Now, in this case of the suspended second, in training on it and developing skills with it, you're going to have to get used to the movement that we have in the suspended second, where we're taking from the root and we're moving up a 2nd degree, major second in this case. And then from there, the transition moves over and we have a perfect 4th. So we have a distance from the 2nd degree headed over to the 5th chord tone away from the root, but it's a 4th away from our suspended second. So you can hear that. That's that sound of Happy Birthday, isn't it? Remember, that's the color of the major second. From there, we have the sound of the perfect fourth. Remember that? That's that Here Comes the Bride, or it could be Beethoven's fifth. Right? So, you know, remember those intervals that we started all these lessons with, because they're so important to really get you rolling along with understanding the distances that we have with the notes. Now, from the root itself, you know, you want to just start working on the colors that we have and the sounds. Da, da, da. Do some pitch matching. Da, 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 da. Do some pitch matching into the tones. Maybe you can even do some pitch matching from the suspended into the major sound. Da, 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 da. Or into the minor. Da, 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 da. And that's one of the most valuable things you can do in setting up your ear training. I was doing it off of the A just now. Another example that's given in the handout is the D. So D suspended second. Da 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 da. You move up into the major third. Da 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 da. Into the minor. Da 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 da. So do some work like that off of the suspended second. Have it arrive over to both major and minor chords. A lot of times you'll hear movement into the major color. So you know, you maybe make sure you really have a good justification in your mind about what that movement sounds like when it makes that final resting zone over to either a minor color or a major color. Another thing too that's important is move these around a little bit, just like you saw me do with the example that took the G suspended second, where you had the G tone and then open A and then open D fourth. So there it is off the low strings. It's very kind of blurry, very low down in the mix. But then if we carry it up an octave, it really brightens it up a lot. And in the case of resolution, you can really hear the strong resolution there too. So a lot of this kind of work is based upon two things. Of course, it's around the matching pitch. And the other side of the equation is understanding individual intervals that we have from one note to the other. And then the third element is how they're used and applied. Remember, suspended chords, they have no quality. They are basically blocking out the use of the quality defining note of the chord, which is the third. So you want to realize that when the suspended gets applied, many times what happens is we move away from it and make some kind of a resolution into a major or a minor chord. So that's going to be a big part of this style practice too. So we're going to wrap up now with example 1 on the guitar, but next phase of all this is I want to head to the piano keyboard and do some layouts of the suspended second on the piano. In taking these suspended second ideas to the piano keyboard, we're going to set things up at first by checking out a C, D, and a G. And those tones come together to create a C suspended second. And you can tell again, just like we were discussing on the guitar, when you hear that sound, it wants to move away from the suspended idea and come around to something more stabilized, like a major chord. So we have C, D, and G, but then that sound can build very nicely out into the major quality. It could also go to minor. So there's that E or E flat option there. E for major, E flat for minor. So we have this, C, D, G, into major. Let's use some solfeggio. Do, re, sol. Here it is again, moving into minor chord. That was a major, so let's do minor. Do, re, sol. Let's do that again, sorry. Do, re, sol, minor. So the color shifting, it's pretty dark when it has the minor quality after it, but the suspended idea is it wants to move off. It's very unstable. It wants to go back to stability, whether that's major or minor. Okay, there's another example that I have on the handout, and that's coming off of the F tone. So we're going to move over to an F. And this setup is taking us from F to G to C. So there's your suspended second sound, and we'll move into a major quality with an A tone there. So there's a major sound off that F. So suspended second from F into a resolution for a major effect. Here it is again, but going to minor. Notice the darker quality, the darker sound. Let's do some solfeggio first. Mi, sol, do, into major. Let's do it again into minor. Mi, sol, do. So you can tell there's some interesting colors here that you get when you're moving between that unstable effect of the suspended second. It really wants to move off that and move into something more stabilized, like your either your major or your minor, or even a perfect fifth. It's a nice sound just to go to a perfect fifth. You can tell it's got a really interesting quality to it as well. So anyway, there's your breakdown of suspended second. Head over to a piano keyboard and start working on some of these sounds. Do some singing, do some solfeggio work, and also analyzing how the intervals sit on the piano keyboard as well. That was an excerpt from the 6th lesson of my ear training course. The remainder of this lesson is available behind a paywall on my website at creativeguitarstudio.com. But I thought you might like to see this segment, so I put it here on YouTube for you to get a better idea about what this ear training course actually has to offer. If you want to subscribe to my website, initial application is free. It's a lifetime membership that you can sign up for free. And then from there, you can always go forward into looking through all of the material that's on the site. There's lots of information for introductory, intermediate, and advanced guitar players. And then at any point in time, you can always upgrade into either a monthly or into a premium membership plan. Just head on over to creativeguitarstudio.com, sign up with that free membership to get started. If you have any questions, you can reach me either by phone or by email. Just click on the link in the YouTube description box under where it says Become a Member Today. The Blues Guitar Styles ebook is a masterclass course covering a huge amount of information on the blues style. With 8, 12, and 16 bar blues progressions, classic blues styles, plus all the important chord patterns. There's over 50 pages of information, including sections on blues techniques like slide, alternate tuning, and bending. This ebook has everything the guitar player needs for a solid foundation in blues guitar, including 27 MP3 audio tracks for easy at-home study. Blues Guitar Styles is available for instant download in the View Our Products area at creativeguitarstudio.com. Thanks for watching part 1 of the lesson. Sign up for a membership at creativeguitarstudio.com to watch the rest of this class. Up next, we'll study add for the major second and fourth and the minor second and fourth chords. Plus, as a member, you're going to be able to download the practice files for this lesson, along with get access to many more professional guitar lessons. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch up next in the members area.